Thank you. Please have a seat. Regardless of where you call home, regardless whether you even realize it or not, there is one of these buildings assigned to the protection of your life and property wherever you go. Today, the doors are open here in Onondaga for us to gather and mark the grand opening of this fire hall. Some time ago, an idea was brought forward to replace the old one with a new one. Fire administration started working with other county staff to turn that idea into a plan. That plan was then approved by our elected officials, turned into a project by Benton Group Architecture, along with general contractor Abbott Construction. Many divisions of our own county departments also played key roles in this to make it come together. Following this plan closely led to the completion of this modern, functional structure that was destined to become the new home of the Onondaga Fire Station. Throughout all these steps, the station had to stay open and ready for business 24/7, 365, like every fire department does. Weather delays, supply chain issues, we've all dealt with that, particularly in the last couple of years. But the team of firefighters here in Onondaga always found a way to come out on top. We need to first give them a round of applause for the awesome job they did to maintain the level of protection for this community while the project was in play. Some of the old building is out behind us, but due to construction, even the trucks had to leave this premises for a while. So farm shops and garages in wintertime, and it's no easy task to keep everything ready to go all the time. So, as I said, a fire station is always open. It's always ready, wherever it may be situated. It's always strong when strength is needed, and it's always comforting when strength just wasn't enough. Today is the grand opening of this fire hall, and we thank you for being here with us to mark this special occasion. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite forward Mayor David Bailey for his remarks.
Well, first of all, thank you all for taking the time to be here today. It's a very special day for Onondaga. And on behalf of my complete council, I'd like to thank you for showing your support for today's event. I've been in Onondaga quite a lot this week with the reconstruction of your park and looking at your buildings and looking at what's going on in Onondaga right now. And this is just the perfect way to end a week for me, because Saturday is no different than Friday, as you can imagine, for the mayor. So I'm glad to be here again today. And I think the Onondaga story is a good story. I've heard good things about things that have been happening here for a very long time. Intergenerational, there's been people on your volunteer fire forces for generations. It speaks to the generations, it speaks to the families, it speaks to the community involvement. And I think this hall is a perfect container for what you do. I'm glad that I'm speaking first to get the politics out of the way, because it's not about politics, it's about community. And I saw the circumstances that you were working under before. As I was running for mayor, the other building was still up, and there was discussion on should it come down, could we have them both. So I saw all of that discussion, and I think that the right decisions were made for the space that you ended up with. You didn't have place for your equipment. You didn't have proper lockers. There was no showers. There was no community room. There was no and for such an important job, you needed all the pieces that go with it to make you do your job comfortably and safely, and contain the family, which is firefighters. Volunteer firefighters are much more than people that just run when they hear bells. They're a community, a family, and as I said, you were lacking out here. But know that you were always part of a group of people that had full support of the county. You've always been on the top of our list at the county. We've had some challenges, maybe with some policing and other things of the county, but firefighting has always been a top priority. The money has always been made available to you. The county, no matter who the mayor is, no matter who your councilors are, will always support fire service, because we know how important it is, and we know how big our county is, and how these little hubs have to be everywhere, because we're just not going to be able to get everywhere when the bells do ring. So some people might think that building 3 fire halls at once was excessive, and it wasn't. We have a huge territory to secure and to protect, and we can, and we will, and we do. So I think this is a very good day. As I said, I'd like to thank the staff for seeing the importance of doing this. We got in just before COVID, which was incredible because it was all, the price was right. And when you buy 3, the price gets really right. And we were lucky that we locked in before the pandemic. So there's been all kinds of good decisions from staff and from council that has made this happen today in a timely way. And I thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you grow into it, but not too quickly. Thank you.
MP Larry Brock is on the agenda. If you have one, he sends his regrets for today. We do, however, have our member of provincial parliament, Will Boma, and he's welcome to join us. He always says it's 1 or 2 words.
This building is a long time coming, and it's very, very good to be here. What I love about this project is, and these 3 projects actually throughout the County of Brant, is that we have to support those who are always there for us. And I know Onondaga always enjoyed being kind of under the radar because no one ever came here unless they had to. But we need to keep our firefighters safe. When you contemplate how many members of our fire service have suffered from cancer, from PTSD, from other things, the least that we can do as a community is to make sure that they have an effective place to call home. Because that level of support carries through into the psychological benefits of the memories that we have going through our heads about the things that we have seen. And when we can feel the support of the community and being able to build a facility that is adequate to our needs, that means that we can clean our gear here. It means that we can meet here in safety without threat of different toxic molds and everything else. It means a lot. And to have a space not just for the fire service, but that the community can call their own, and to have the little library here is also very, very good. So I appreciate the leadership of the mayor, the councillors, but especially county staff that saw these projects through from beginning to end, because it means so much. It means so much to us. And yes, I am still a volunteer firefighter at Station 7 St. George. But for all of the men and women that come here and that hop on these trucks in order to keep our community safe, who drop what they're doing and come here, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. It means the world to know that we have a professionally trained fire service, and that's leadership from top to bottom in order to make those things happen. And we wouldn't be here today without the leadership of almost retiring Chief Jeff Heyman also. And Jeff, thank you for your service through this. But to everyone that made this happen, I want to say thank you. And for such an incredible turnout, it shows how important a building like this is to a community here inside the County of Brant. So I will say, this is an awesome facility for an awesome group of people that keep our community safe. And so on behalf of the province of Ontario, I wish to extend my warmest congratulations on the occasion of Onondaga Fire Station and the library kiosk grand opening. Thank you for having me.
From this very ward, we have Councillors Joan Gatward and Brian Coleman. I believe they both wish to speak. Joan?
Well, it's my pleasure to be here on such a beautiful sunny day to celebrate the grand opening of our new Onondaga Fire Hall. As a councillor here in the county, from a small village in Oakland, in the county's south, I know how vital our local fire halls are. And Onondaga, being in the eastern area of the county, has always and will continue to serve the citizens of this area and the county with excellent and professional service. Fast forward 20 years, and here we are, an amalgamated county, and we're celebrating this new County of Brant Fire Hall, the new Onondaga Station. And as it's been mentioned, it has many safety features and will help protect our firefighters and serve them and all of you much easier. I want to thank the men and women of the Onondaga Station for the excellent service that you provide to the citizens in this area and beyond. I want to thank you for your courage and your willingness to serve as firefighters. And thank you to all the officers for your dedication, fundraising, and commitment to serving this community. I'm very proud of all of you. To our newer members in the fire service, and I was so pleased today to see some of them, thank you for joining and becoming part of the fire service family. I look forward to working with you for now and in the future. Thank you.
Councillor Coleman probably won't mention it, but I'm sure everybody knows, retired Onondaga firefighter, Councillor Coleman.
Thanks to everybody for coming out today. This has been a long time in the making. We talked about this earlier, former Reeve Doherty and a few of us out there, that how many years this has been coming, and it's 20 some years. And I can remember when after I got on council and Councillor Wheat said to me one day, he'd been down here, and he says, we need a new hall, new station for the boys in Onondaga. I said, yes, you're right. It will come, but it's just taken a long time. So I'm going to reflect a little bit, and I guess I was lucky enough that back in '58, when this hall was, the original hall was built on the next to the school here, I was an inmate in the school upstairs. And so I got to see this being built, and luckily at that time my father was Reeve of the municipality, and I got to tag along with him once in a while, and I got to go to Woodstock, where King Seagrave, to see the '58 Dodge with a front-mounted pump. Everybody laughed at Onondaga when that front-mounted pump came into the local plaza for the competition. We showed them. As George McMaster always said, the cream always rises to the top. So anyhow, Mercer told me not to say an awful lot today, and to keep it short. And I will, but I just want to say thanks to everybody. And so about a month ago, I was fortunate enough to take former Mayor Eddie out for a date. And we went for a tour, and thanks to Chief McBlain, he let us in here. I toured it. He went up and down those stairs quicker than Barry and I did. But the word he said to me after, and Will already used it, was awesome. This is an awesome facility. We have 3 new awesome facilities in this municipality. It took some time, took a little bit of growing pains. Not everybody was happy. There was always lots of grumbling. But anyhow, it's done. We'll work through some of the issues, if there is any. So, special thanks, and Joan mentioned it, to the firemen. Especially to the ones that stored the trucks the last 2 years when this hall was being built. It's not easy, and to have one at each end of the municipality, well done. You guys need to be thanked. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
I'm sure the stories afterwards will be good from yourself as well, with your history here in the community and the fire service. So councillors love to be put on the spot, so make sure you pick on Councillor Coleman and get the real story. As I mentioned, VG Architect and our general contractor, does anyone representing them wish to speak? Or so the overall vision and support from all our elected officials towards the fire service in general here today, particularly in Onondaga, is always very much appreciated, and we thank all of you who have spoke so far. Sounds like Firefighter Mercer's not a fan of politics, or I'll have to look into that. It sounds like a good after conversation as well. I think we've all had enough of the politics, as much as it's all a big part of today. This building is not only home to the Onondaga Fire Station, it also supports the community with a satellite office for OPP and a kiosk for our library division, and we will cover that. I'm not a very library type person, so I won't try to explain that in the way it needs to be explained. But on behalf of the library facility here today is Library Chair Fred Gladdy, and I would like to welcome him forward to expand my knowledge even on library systems.
Thanks, Brent. Well, it's wonderful to be here today, let me say. It's been a few years since I've been here in the Onondaga corner of the county. Some of you might remember my time as principal of your school, but I can recall in my time as principal of Onondaga School, I got a phone call. I believe it was from Gay, our previous CEO, and she asked me then, and this would be early 2000, would there be a way that the library, the municipal library and the school library could do something kind of together? And I certainly explored it from my side, but circumstances being what they were, it didn't happen. But I just wanted to share that story, that little anecdote, because this effort to reach from the library board into this corner of the county has been ongoing for many years. And I feel like I'm standing here today with a wonderful opportunity to cut a ribbon and give our library service a physical place and presence in this corner of the county. The library board, myself and the trustees that are with me, we only have one job. And our job is to do our best to ensure that all the residents of the County of Brant have the very best library service possible. And that includes the far east corner of Brant County where we're sitting and standing. So, over the time I've been on the library board, which is 12 years, I've shared the chairs with Joyce Smith, who is sitting back there somewhere. Joyce is the Onondaga rep that sat with us on the board for all of those years, and I want you to know that Joyce has never let us forget our obligation to this corner of the county. She's been your advocate, and I've been proud to sit beside her while she's done that for you and for me and all of us. Through the years, finding that place, that facility where we could offer library service was a challenge. We felt better as a library system when we had a marvelous website that allowed people wherever they lived to access library service. So that was something for this corner of the county and everywhere, but not the same as actually having a place where the library books could be there. A few years ago, we bought a truck, a van, and we hired an outreach librarian who presently is Gary Jeremy, who is a native of this corner of the county. And Gary is our outreach librarian. He's coming out to this facility. Kelly, catch me if I'm wrong, but is it Thursdays he's come? Every Thursday with our truck and with our outreach librarian, we're able to offer full-fledged library programming here at this facility with the kiosk and the books. So little steps, we're getting here, and I just hope that all of you resident in this corner of the county appreciate that you do have a library service that's your own, and it's there for you. And if you don't have a library card, I think you could probably show up Thursday and get one with Gary, because he's got all the technology on the truck to do it. And if you don't do that, I think you can do it through the web page, can't you, Kelly? Yeah. So we're here today. We're absolutely thrilled. This is a facility. Mayor Bailey mentioned all the good decisions and the good planning that went into this facility, and I know that the plan got changed to accommodate our library kiosk in the foyer of the building. And so for that, we're very appreciative. It's great to be here, and I hope before you leave today, you'll check it out before you go. Thank you so much.
I think that's, you kind of summed it up. We talked earlier about county staff and all the divisions working together, and that's a great example of our whole county staff working together, combining projects and making things work. So, I was lucky to be down here recently on a bit of a social visit, and District Chief Barry McBlain we're both firefighters, and you think it would be all fire, and he couldn't wait to show me the library kiosk. So just the fact that it's here and people seem to be enjoying it and supporting it is very good. Our library CEO, Kelly Bernstein, would you like to add some comments, or? That's fine. Thank you for being with us today. And again, it seems to be very well received. So it's a great, probably more well received than the OPP. So you've got that. There's nobody here from the OPP. I took an Uber here, so my vehicle's not here or nothing like that. As I alluded to earlier, we are all watched over by one of these awesome buildings, no matter where we live, work, or play. Today, each one of us has the potential to be a customer of the services provided from this very building. Our needs of these services are never planned for in advance, like we get up in the morning and plan our day. These services are required when split-second events play out in ways that we could never have imagined. And in those seconds, customers have no concern about how shiny the fire trucks are. I needed sunscreen to stand here. But customers, they don't care how shiny the trucks are. They don't really remember or care what the message is on the sign out front. They don't care that maybe the back door leaks snow when the wind blows from the northeast. They definitely wouldn't care that a family of mice has sought out shelter under the safety of a firefighter helmet. Is the cistern full of water and ready for battle? We could go on and on of all the things. But in that moment when customers call for these services, all they think about is that sign out front that they've seen driving by with the permanent letters on it that say Onondaga Fire Hall. It's that simple name they know, feel comfort, whether they maybe don't even realize it, but behind that steadfast sign is this new building. The most important asset that calls this building home is the group of firefighters, the amazing caretakers, the Onondaga firefighters themselves. To this amazing team, this is their second home. They are the ones who care for it and make sure that it is always open and fit for battle to serve the customers whenever it's called upon. They close the loop between ideas, politics, bricks and mortar, water and fire trucks. They take all those pieces, they pile on hours of training to make sure that the doors are always open and ready to respond. Not only are the trucks and tools clean and shiny, they're checked with fuel, oil, medical supplies are replenished, not expired. Every piece of equipment is inspected regularly, along with their own skills to use them. If you pass by here, particularly on a Monday evening, it'll be very common to see some vehicles in the parking lot and the lights on. At the top of this operational team is Fire Chief Jeff Heyman and Deputy Chief Darren Watson. I don't believe these ones are here, but the people that make them look good are also our Secretary, Lori Tipler, our Office Assistant, Leanne Thompson, and Fire Prevention Officers Tom Walschmidt and Doug Callum. None of them are present? No? Good. That's what they do. They're never out front. They're always in the background doing the tasks and keeping everybody on track. So, at this time, I would like to welcome Chief Heyman to come forward with his remarks.
So Brent, I guess you're going to get an opportunity to read a book now. Well, thank you for the introduction. A renewed beginning is a good description of what is here now. When the Onondaga Fire Department started in 1958, the hall was very much a reflection of the spirit of the personnel. They made it their home, but time has changed. From 1958, what was referred to as a legacy fire, a typical living room fire with furniture dating from the 1950s, would take about 29 minutes to reach the stage where the entire room would reach what's known as a flashover. The same room in modern furnishings and materials, it takes 3 minutes or less. Smoke from a fire from a legacy furnace was bad enough. Now firefighters must protect themselves from all the carcinogenic materials and byproducts that permeate the smoke. Training used to involve running a scenario once or twice a year, repacking the hose bed, and then listening to an instructor. Now, mandated skills and knowledge are legislated. They need to meet the needs of the expanded service to the community. There's online resources. There's audio-visual equipment for theory and training. There's the improved health and safety. All these are the components of supporting the provision of service. As Brian said, the 1958 Dodge with a front-mounted pump. And by the way, you guys always cheated at mutual aid. That's how you won. Yeah, you did. Right? It was housed in the single bay, I believe, in the back. Right? The International Cab Over that was parked in the lean-to at the back of the building. I believe now Jamie McBay has that in his fleet. For those that never got the opportunity to enter the meeting room at the basement, you had to find yourself the opportunity to experience your own brand of Onondaga contortionism, to get down the stairs without taking your head off. Again, those that miss that opportunity, you'll never get that, because obviously you have to go up the stairs now. 2 new truck bays were added at the back, and they added a rescue truck and a few larger sized vehicles. But the charm of the 1876 old school could not meet the needs and requirements for the health and safety of the firefighters. There's a common element here. The fire stations that house the fire apparatus, train the firefighters, and take care of their health and safety have changed immensely. The old station had hard access to the washrooms. The truck bays needed finishing. There was limited water to keep the trucks clean, and the training room certainly didn't have the latest access to the latest tech. Right? The training room also faced issues that you'd normally see with an old structure, meaning there was limited means to decontaminate gear, trucks, and firefighters. The building had served its purpose, doing the best it could, but it had reached the end of its usefulness. This renewal was needed. Barry, you now have an office that you can actually work in. The training room is more than adequate to meet the needs, right? Functional internet, modern technologies. The gear room and other measures are in place to limit the exposure, and changes will be made, I believe, in the future to expand the needs, to meet the needs of the firefighters, and in turn the needs of the community. That capacity was built into this structure. But a building is not a fire station without the people that make it a fire station. And as we've said before, the people that serve here in Onondaga in the past, I'm going to name off some names here: Elmer, Don, AJ, Foster, Jim, Larry, George. Those are just a few that made it home. I'd like to thank Council for supporting this necessary facility, as this project was way overdue and it was complicated. So, as you can imagine, as has been said, trying to build 3 stations in the middle of COVID was filled with all kinds of detours, delays, and restrictions. To the current crew, guys, I'm talking to every single one of you. Take good care of your hall. It'll take care of you. Thank you.
It's probably obvious through our chief's comments that, these buildings aren't just the bricks and mortar, they're built for the team. It's also built for their health and safety. It's such a huge thing in the fire service the last 5 years, give or take. You got to look after everybody to make sure they keep coming back and are able to come back and healthy to come back every time they're needed. So this is not just a building to protect the trucks and keep them from freezing in the winter. It protects the firefighters. It allows them to do what they need to do when they come back dirty, and all the fun parts of the job. At the top of the team here in Onondaga, we have District Chief Barry McBlain, and he has a couple of words to share.
Unfortunately for you, I've got more than just a couple of words, but anyway. Mr. Mayor, dignitaries, and all the guests, what a crowd. Awesome support, much appreciated. Welcome to our awesome new fire hall and library facilities. I was debating about how to start, and I'm going to start with actually how I'm going to be finishing up at the end as well. And that's to thank the taxpayer and the county for this awesome facility. Were there building issues along the way? Yes, most new builds have building issues. And you throw in a pandemic, and you definitely are going to have challenges. Are there a few minor issues to be dealt with? A few very minor issues, and administration's working on that. Could the building have been a different size or different color, different shape? Perhaps. What we do have is running water. And I know that seems strange to say it, but when you don't have it, you don't realize how important it is. Our guys can wash their hands. They can have a shower after a dirty call. We can have guest speakers not have to worry about washroom facilities. What we do have is a modern, awesome training room. If you get a chance after, make sure you go up and tour it. It's got modern technology. It allows us to be more efficient with our training. Allows us to have guest speakers in to use that technology and for presentations. What we also do have is an awesome kitchen attached to that training facility. And that seems like a minor thing, but a few months ago we had training in Paris with the Paris firefighters, and it was an 8 a.m. start. So the guys met here 6:37, I'm not sure exactly what time. They brought eggs, bacon, and they had breakfast here. We had an awesome day of training with the Paris firefighters. They're excellent guys, they know what they're doing. We just had a great day. And that started here with a little bit of camaraderie and fellowship. What we have is an awesome gear room. It allows the guys to be organized. They have washroom facilities there. They have shower facilities, again, for those dirty calls. We have a wagon floor, which you're sitting on right now. It's roomy. We can work on equipment. We can clean equipment, which is especially important in January, February, maybe not so much on a day like today. What we have, and Jeff mentioned this, is awesome office facilities. We can do our paperwork in a quiet area. We can shut the door if we need to have some privacy. Dennis and I have spent many cold January nights sitting in our car, in our truck, fogging the windows up, discussing items that need to be talked about at our following meeting. That was not awesome, by the way. And by the way, I know what Chief Heyman's thinking. What happens in Onondaga stays in Onondaga. He says that all the time, so. We have internet capabilities, which again, in 2022 seems odd, but before we'd have to hotspot somebody's phone to get information. Now, it's so much easier. Our communications with the county are top notch, and we're in 2022 now. We have a large 30,000 gallon cistern that not only is that water used for training purposes, but is a water source for the village in case we have an incident, which we did about a month ago, and we did use that water to help with the structure fire. Little things like having the sign out front. I see that seems like a minor thing, but we can post things about fire prevention, advertise today's event. We have a large TV screen, some other technology in our training room that just makes training so much easier. We have a who's responding screen, which normally would be up on that screen there. If we get a call, there's a map comes up and it shows where our incident is. The guys can quickly look at it before they jump in a truck. Especially important if we're helping or assisting with Six Nations, Kanesville, Haldeman, or another municipality. As mentioned, we have a gear washing machine now that guys can clean their gear instead of sending it away and waiting for a week for it to come back. All these things make for an awesome, modern working environment. With all these features, these firefighters you see sitting over here have taken this new hall under their wing with pride. It's actually fun watching them chew at each other if somebody happens to walk into the training room with mud on their boots. And in fact, I should warn you, there may be a couple of them following you around today with brooms and dustpans. So. I'm going to take a minute to thank those firefighters that you see sitting there for their patience and understanding, especially since 2018. If you do not have a library card, I'm sure they can set you up shortly. Make sure before you leave here, you go over and see it. Sure, it's not a Brantford library or a Paris library or anything, but it's just awesome. You can order a book. If you need something, I've ordered books in the past. You can get DVDs, CDs. It's just an awesome little facility. As well, I'm going to just mention the office in behind the kiosk is used by the OPP as a satellite office. I've talked to many officers. They think it's awesome. They can sit there. They can hook into the computers at Paris. If they want to have a meeting there, they can shut the door, have a meeting. There's washroom facilities. There's a microwave if you want to heat up their donuts. I don't know what they use them, but anyways, they think it's just an excellent facility. So, anyways, and their presence here is nothing but positive. So, I know they really like that little office. So I'm going to finish up with some presentations. I'm going to call up District Deputy Chief Dennis Mundy to assist me. So on behalf of the citizens and the firefighters in the Onondaga area, we'd like to present each of you with a brick and a book as a small token of our appreciation for these new facilities.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I would just like to say, since this is a library open.
One final presentation we're going to make before I finally sit down. We're going to present each firefighter with a little memento, a book as well today. Guys, your support, especially since 2018, is hugely appreciated. Cheers to making this new hall shine, guys. Okay.
Your team of Onondaga Fire Station, you've met Barry and Dennis. We have Captain Jay McClellan, Captain Tyler McLean, Captain Jerry Smith, Firefighter Matt Blackwell, Firefighter Nathan Brunsma, Firefighter James Kloss. Sorry. Set me right. Dan Featherston. Firefighter Alex No, you guys are supposed to be in order. Thank you, I appreciate it. Firefighter Alex McClellan. Firefighter Tyler Cranston. An extra round of applause for someone who needs the library services. Firefighter Bob Mercer. Firefighter Lucas Portelli. Firefighter Josh Van Sickle. Newly hired recruit firefighter Cam Shute. He's supposed to be at training today, but we let him come to join us. So I believe we still have regrets from Rick Finnemore. Rick is our fire protection advisor from the Office of the Fire Marshal. He was unable to make it today. So on his behalf, MPP Will Bowman, could you help us present the plaque to Fire Chief Jeff Heyman? The name has been mentioned. Brian mentioned it earlier. The fire hall has been here for a long time, but we do have one of our founding members with us today, and I sincerely apologize for, I was keeping you to last on purpose to be memorable, and I forgot, so that was my bad. But George McMaster, he's an original member of the fire service here in Onondaga since 1958. So if we could have Barry and Dennis present him with his book in a special round of. So I apologize for getting a little off the track there. I'm going to blame that on Rick because he's not here, so he kind of messed everything up on me. We do have the unveiling of the large plaque. So if I could have Mr. Mayor, our ward councilors, fire chief. To try and sum things up in one word is not usually an easy task, but I think I used the word a couple of times, and standing on the side, it just kept coming up over and over. The word's just simply awesome. The people, the building, everybody who was involved, is just simply awesome.